What's happening, everybody? I'm Jack and this is Suburban Tactical Nation. Today I was tagged in a video by Mark Coffman on YouTube who likes to do knife reviews. I'll leave a link below where you can check out the other tags that he's been included in to participate into this. So what this is we've picked 5 knives that we all love, that's near and dear to us, and just basically makes you smile. So stick around and I'll show you what I laid out on the table for you. So what I've got laid out here is 7 knives instead of 5, and there's a reason behind that. Before we get into checking these out, I just want to say how cool I think this tag is. And I know it started from some larger channels and it's kind of trickled down and it's been circulating around YouTube, and I think it's really cool because it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of share why we do what we do as enthusiasts or knife reviewers or EDC or tools, whatever it is we do. This just gives you a good idea, at least for the knife world right now, to kind of share with you our passion, how they were kind of born. And a lot of these guys are sharing stuff from stuff that their fathers passed down to them and that got passed from their grandfathers. You know, you got a couple different generations sharing these things, you know, that's near and dear to us. So really cool opportunity to share that with you guys instead of just a typical knife review or whatever we're doing out there these days. So as you can see, these are pretty much all modern pocket knives in front of you here. Now I have 3 automatics, 2 assisted and 2 manuals. I wish I had some of the older knives like my original Buck 110 or my Buck 118. You know, those were very near and dear to me, but I did pass those down to good friends and my kids. So, you know, nothing like that, no traditional knives or nothing to share with you today, but nonetheless, I've got 2 very special gifts that were given to me and 2 with some more significant meaning on the end, and the rest I just really like. So we'll go ahead and start with the Infidel, the Benchmade 3300 model, and this was, pretty sure these were produced originally in 2006 and since then been revamped with some newer steels and colors and such. Now this was a very special gift for my birthday, probably around 2014-15, somewhere around there, and this was totally unexpected. My buddy was ordering some stuff for work and he asked me, you know, I thought he was joking and said, hey, would you like one, and what kind would you like? And jokingly I told him which one, and sure enough I was blown away what he sent me, and that is the Benchmade Infidel 3300 model, and it is an OTF, which stands for out the front. And as you can see, this has had lots of use, lots of carry time, and it is a fantastic knife and it's very special to me. I've used it a lot, carried it a lot. Very cool knife. So the Benchmade Infidel, of course I'll leave links down below so you guys can check those out. I do believe these are discontinued now as far as these models, so kind of check out for that. Maybe you can find one, I don't know. I haven't kept up with what they're really doing with these particularly. Moving on to the next Benchmade, and this hands down is my favorite automatic knife side opening, and part of the reason to that is the scales and the size and just overall functionality of this thing. Now it does have a lock on it. I know a lot of people don't like that on their knives, but I find this actually useful. So you've got your plunge lock there, your button that actuates it, and basically the reason I love this one so much is because I always wanted a Benchmade Osborne 940, and when I seen this I just liked it even more. So partially because I am a sucker for reverse tanto shapes, modified blade shapes, and this knife just hits so many marks for me, and it fires very hard. It's a super good automatic knife. I love the scales on this. You've got this kind of ribbed shaped, I don't know, almost like a scalloped shape, and it just feels really good in hand. It's really grippy, and it's not overly aggressive, so it doesn't shred your pockets all to hell. and it's just a really awesome knife. It's the second Benchmade I ever owned. This was actually a Christmas present by surprise last year from my best friend, and I was just seriously blown away that he made this purchase for me and gave it to me as a gift. I was so ecstatic. Fantastic knife. I'm not just saying that because it was a gift. This thing really is a good automatic, and it fires hard, man. I would say, you know, just like the 940 automatic, or, you know, because of the size, it's not going to fire as hard as a ProTech per se, or a Microtech, but it's up there. It's definitely up in the top 2 or 3 as far as how this thing deploys and hits open. But it's super light, and it's got a nice deep carry clip on it. It's got S90V blade steel on this. One of my favorite things about this is the blade steel. It's a stainless steel, but they've also got, I think it's a PVD coating on this. Benchmade has done different coatings over the years. They've done Cerakote, DLC. Love this knife. Definitely one of my favorite. Definitely my favorite Benchmade knife. But that could change over time. So moving on to my favorite Spyderco knife. We've got the Smock. What makes this blade so special to me is the fact that when it came out, I just fell in love with the look of the blade, and I knew I had to have it. Wasn't too crazy on the sticker carbon fiber deal they got going on the handles, but once I bought it and got it in hand, it seemed to kind of grow on me, and it doesn't bother me being on this, on the original, because I knew that I could always change it out if I wanted. You know, you've got the full liners, and you can change out your scales if you like, and there's a bunch on the market out there. Flightanium makes some, a bunch of other companies you can find on Etsy and such. But the main thing I love about this, aside from the blade shape, is of course the compression lock is why I love Spyderco so much, and you've got the button lock on this. And what makes it great for me though is how solid this thing is built. There's no blade play whatsoever. It's the only Spyderco I've ever had in my hand that has that solid of a lockup. It's really incredible. I think with this knife you just have to handle it to see how great it is. I know it's a little different looking. It's got kind of an elongated handle, and you know, it does have a choil, a usable choil, but a lot of people seem to not really like it too much, so it's kind of like a love it or hate it knife. But it is a great one, and these are made in Taichung, Taiwan, so this is not the USA made, but I find the quality and the craftsmanship, the fit and finish is incredible, so I wouldn't hesitate for a second to buy one out of Taichung, Taiwan, out of that factory, because this thing is just super solid. Love this knife. If it wasn't for this one, I'd probably have a PM2 or a Para 3 up there, because those are my favorite before this. Love the Smock. You know, S30V blade, perfectly fine for me. I did just purchase one from Blade HQ, the exclusive, the Smock with the M4 and the natural G10 scales, like Benchmade does so often. But I wanted to show the original Smock because this was awesome. And the time I bought it, they were really hard to find too. So I snagged one, and then they started putting them back out again. So hopefully we'll come out with some more exclusives from other places, and I can get something with some more upgraded steel also. So yeah, let's move on to one I got in Monthly Knife Club, the Onyx Collector's Edition box. This was not a store purchase, through a monthly subscription box. That's where this came from. And this is the 8010, a Demko design by Andrew Demko, made by Colt Steel. And this just blew me away that it came in the mail. I had my eyes on this for a long time. I just wasn't ready to make that purchase for what they were going for at the time. I can't remember what the number was. I'm pretty sure it was close to $200 when these first came out, and I just wasn't ready to buy it, even though I wanted it. I like to wait, play the waiting game on some of the more expensive knives, because I do know the prices go down. You got sales, and you got the holidays, blah blah blah, you know. So the 8010, beast of a knife. Kind of have to get it in your hand to understand, to get the feel, to really get a good understanding on this knife, what's so great about it. I mean, it's pretty simple looking, but man, these handles feel great. It's not as big of a handle as it looks. I do have large hands, but I don't have giant ham hocks either. And I know some people say, hey, the handle's not as big as it looks. You know, so this past year, I was lucky enough to pony up enough dough to go ahead and make the plunge and buy a Microtech Ultratech. And I have not been disappointed. This is one of my favorite knives. I will never get rid of it. 100% made in the USA. Fantastic construction. Fantastic knife. I just love this knife. I mean, who doesn't like an OTF? I know they're not for everybody, but I love this knife, and I love the fact that it's a Tanto. I love the blade shape on it. I love everything about it. It's got a great steel. Every one of these come with a premium steel. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get with Microtech due to their stock, what they get in at certain times. But this is a Carpenter Steel 204P. Definitely a premium steel. It usually comes with 204P, M390, or LMAX. And you really can't go wrong with any of those. I don't know about nowadays. They may be switching it up to different things, but this one here, this model is 123-10. Like ZT, they do numbers for their models. It can get a little confusing, and when you're going to purchase these on the website, make sure you look at the model numbers, because the handles do look similar. They make smaller ones than this. They have like 3 different sizes, and I think one of their largest is the Combat Trudon, which I want really bad. But they're very hard to find, very hard to come by, and they're a much larger knife than this. But at the end of the day, I got my Microtech, and I love it. It's super comfortable. Ergos are great. It goes in the pocket easy. Yeah, it requires a little bit of maintenance, you know, just blowing the dust out, getting some oil in there occasionally. There are videos by Microtech that can show you how to do that. Just takes a little bit of patience. You know, if you're not a patient person and you can't have an OTF or an automatic at all, or even a knife over a certain size, at least here in Ohio, we're allowed to carry these, so I went ahead and bought one. And I've had others before, but I never really carried them too many places up until the past year or so. So the law did change in April, but I was a little more cautious where to carry them and where to take them, in fear of losing them one way or another. But this is a great knife, one of my favorite, and I plan to get more in the future. So great knife. So what we have here is a knife by a company called OffGrid. Now, if you follow my Instagram, you've seen me post different things about different ones I have, and this was really tough to pick this one because I have a lot of OffGrid knives, and I've had multiple copies of other ones over time, and this is definitely what started my obsession with finding well-built, overbuilt, tough knives. That was kind of my thing in the beginning, like a lot of us out there. You know, a lot of us have one common thing. We want a knife that's going to last a while and that you can beat the crap out of. I mean, not all of us, you know. I know there's guys out there that only want to buy, you know, $500, $600, $700 knives and probably never use them half the time. And that's fine, perfectly fine, but I like to use my stuff, and what started this channel was the fact that there are so many awesome knives out there, and it's just so fun to get to try and experience new things. And this really lit the fire for me, because I was really blown away how incredibly strong this knife is and how great the design of this is. I believe Kerry from OffGrid, the owner, designs a lot of these, and he's really got some winners on his hand. Now, yes, this was kind of modeled in the same vein of the ZT350 you see here next to it. But let me tell you, the blade shape is very similar. The handle construction is very similar. But honestly, this is more comfortable in hand than this one even. The blade shape also is very unique, and I've never seen another blade shape with this recurve and the way this shape is on this knife. It's got one of the strongest structures I've ever seen, and I have beat the brakes off this thing. I've had 2 or 3 different ones. Matter of fact, I gave my original one to my father as a gift because it was still alive and ticking. So I said, you know, I've got a lot more knives now. I'm going to hand it to you. And he's got it in his toolbox back at home. So this one here was their blackout version. This is the 2nd generation of this one. Originally they had AUS-8 steel. Now I know a lot of you will roll your eyes in the back of your head and go, oh, AUS-8. Well, let me tell you, it's not just about your steel, it's about the heat treat. And anybody that knows knives will tell you that. And OffGrid has some of the best heat treat in the business. I'm telling you from experience, these are good knives. And whether or not you like assisted, and you know, this is definitely not by any means on the level of the ZT, but it's pretty close. What I mean by that is the design of the blade and the handle. Now, there's not that much difference on these two. It's definitely not that far behind it. And the only thing that really makes it different is the thickness of the construction and the steel. Now, although this here is no longer AUS-8, this is D2, and it's their cryo-treated D2. And I'll leave a link down in the description where you can find out about cryo-treating. It's really interesting how it's done, and these guys get it done right. Now back to this being assisted, OffGrid did produce a few assisted knives. This is about the only one. Now they got them in a few different colors and some different scales, and you can find them on Amazon and OffGrid's website, and I'll leave some links down there where you can find that. But it is a pretty darn good knife. It's not my favorite out of all the OffGrids now. I do like the ones that are non-assisted, but this is probably my favorite assisted knife probably ever made, and because it fires really hard, keeps up with the best of them. And I just love the knife. It works really well. I've used it a lot. I've used it in many situations. I used it as an EDC for over a year in my rotation, and I really dig it. And I think it's kind of odd that nobody really talks about it ever. That's probably because of the assist on it, but whatever, to each their own. And that brings us to the final knife here. And what made me obsessed once I had this was because I was really trying to get this. So, you know, it all began from me wanting the ZT, was the big brother to this. So if my memory serves me right, this basically was the smaller brother to the ZT 303, and the 303 was the larger version of this with the same steel and different scales, but basically a larger version of this, and it had a hex head screw instead of a regular Torx pivot. And that knife is just a monster, and you can get it out in the aftermarket for a decent price nowadays. And you know, these things are just kind of getting outdated now. There's so many more other models out there, and since people are kind of getting away from assisted, you know, you got the ZT 308, and there's so many different Hinderer designs that are kind of similar, but this is a Ken Onion design. And you know, the classic Ken Onion recurve, you know, there's just so many good things about this blade, which also tied back into what makes this blade so great with that recurve. But this is very unique in its own right, and I actually like this one better. But back when I was trying to obtain this thing, it was just hard to find because they were selling out constantly. And I think, you know, at the time the prices were like out of my territory for a budget as far as it goes. You know, I got this one here not that long ago. I think I found it at USA Made Blade, great company and all, and I got this for around $150, I think. And you know, it's got the tiger stripe. They make different ones. They got different upgraded ones with different scales, you know, with more contoured scales. But this is still a great knife to this day. You know, there's definitely other accessories you can add to it, different scales. You can upgrade the clip. You know, they even make one now. I think Blade HQ came out with last year, or the early year of 2021, that you can get the tritium insert in the scales there. but same knife, just the added tritium. So you can still, I think you can still find those out there. I'm not sure. You can check ZT's site. I know it's not available on Blade HQ right now, but yeah. So this is kind of what started it all for me on finding an ultimate blade for EDC for me and to use, you know, because my mentality was to use it anywhere, anytime, be ready to go, and it can handle it. And this is definitely one of those designs. You know, there, like I said, there's better ones made now. Lots of new companies out, different designers, you know, a lot of talent out there making a lot of stuff, but this one still stands the test of time. You can still find these on Smoky Mountain Knife Works. You can still find them on Blade HQ and all the other companies out there that sell ZT. This is kind of where Suburban Tactical Nation, really why I started it, and why I'll continue to keep looking for, you know, the constant search for knives that you just have to get in your hand and experience, and you're always looking for something better, something different, something cooler. So there was my 5 picks, a couple bonuses added in there for the knives that make me happy. So I'm going to go ahead and tag Goondocks on here. I want to see what you got. I'm also going to tag Jake from Ohio State. Definitely want to see what you got, and we'll add the shredders. I'd love to see what the shredders got. Shredder knife reviews. So for sure, these knives definitely make me smile. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what knives make you smile, what makes you happy, or what made you get started on your journey. Till the next video, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.